It feels so great. We're going to go into CCB, which is our online scheduling. So, CCB is fantastic. Subs, if you guys want, you don't have to sit right there if you don't want to. All right. So, OKids team scheduling and CCB. So there's table of contents. So some of you have this printed out. Excuse me. So, I just had a piece of pizza. So some of you have this printed out, but you all will get a PDF of this. So if you're like, oh, I forget what Cosy said, or I didn't get a handout, no excuse, you'll have the information. So I'm gonna kind of jump right into it, because it's detail oriented, but I wanna cover it, so you guys can kind of see it and we can talk about it. And so you know kind of what's going on. So if this is used well and you know how to use it, this is actually very helpful, not only to yourself, but also to me. So using this system correctly completely changes how I spend my time. So texting and calling for you, trying to find a sub or switch or whatever, those days are gone. Because I want to do things like go and start a 3rd grade girls Bible study, and I want to meet new parents, but I can't do that if I'm like trying to figure out your schedules every week. So, first question, how do I know my schedule, Miss Cosy? Well, I'll tell you. I'll email you. So everyone, if you've checked your email in the last 20 hours, you have probably gotten a CCB request. So email is your first indicator of what your schedule is. So you'll get an email, and then in your email it will list, just like this, all of your commitments up until, I think February is what I got through yesterday. And then you'll press respond. Right here, green, respond. Now you don't have to log in to actually respond, so it will only take you a second. And then it will list all right here, all of your days for the next however many rotations, 2 rotations. So you might be thinking, oh wait, I got it on my schedule to just accept or decline. No, you don't, because you have to accept. So yes, you have to accept, which doesn't mean you have to be there. It just means you have to accept. Because when you accept, it allows you to actually find a switch and a sub using this system. If you decline, that completely absolves you of any responsibility and just basically goes, here, Cosy. So, yeah. So I will actually reschedule you. Miss Jamie? Yeah. I will reschedule you. And be like, just kidding. So accept all of them. And then, so another way that you can see your full schedule, other than trying to find that email, that'll be the first place that you'll see it. So then, oh yeah, look at this, guys. Okay, so logging into CCB. Raise your hand if you know for a fact you have a CCB login. That's pretty good odds. Okay, if you do not have a CCB login, you will go to our website, oceanhills.org. You will go to CCB directory, and there is a request login info to CCB. So if you do not have that, go find one. Go get one. And Miss Maddie is awesome. She'll give you as many logins as you need. So we're going to assume that you have a login. So you go to login, and then you go to, it'll bring you to a home page. Once you've signed in, it'll bring you to a home page, which looks something like this. And you'll see right here, this menu, there's a serve icon. This serve icon, once you click that, will take you to something that looks a little like this. So here are the requests. So these are that if you did not accept on that email, it will still be here in requests. So you have to accept, and then it will move over to my schedule. Okay, so these are the things that you've actually accepted, and I know that you've seen the email, you know you're scheduled. So even though you have to accept, I still want you to do it because I need to be able to see that you've at least seen that you're scheduled. It really helps. It really, really helps that I know that you've seen it. So you will notice that when you press accept, it goes into my schedule and it lists it goes down. These are all screenshots. It lists all of your stuff, and then you'll see email leader, which is obviously me. Schedule details. It'll tell you what time you're supposed to be there, all that stuff. Find a replacement. So, next question. What do I do if I cannot be there? So I know that you're not going to be there all 4 months the whole time. I know that. I said that to every single one of you when I asked you to be on this team. But there are some things that I do ask of you. I ask you to manage this schedule yourself. Being a part of the OKids team is a commitment, just like we kind of talked about the gardener. It's not easy to always be a gardener, someone working the land, right? This is not always an easy thing. It takes commitment. It takes planning your schedule. If there's a wedding on a Friday night and you're like, oh, we could stay through Sunday, and be like, oh, but I'm working in OKids. Think about those kinds of things. The consistency for our kids, it means something. It really does. So I know that there's going to be those moments. And so as we move forward about what to do with your schedule, I am trusting you to do what's best for your schedule and what's best for the kids and to hold that intention. Okay, so what do I do? So first, we said we're going over do not decline. Okay, so the first thing is, again, log into CCB, and then go to groups. Okay, groups. Groups is right here on the icon list, and you will find the OKids team group. Okay, that is where we all reside. All of us, the subs, the rotational teams, everybody is in this group, okay? You also have an individual group, and we'll get to that in a second. So click on this group, and then go to Files. So everyone should have access to this tab. It's Files, and it's where I or Amber can upload files that you may need. I'm going to put all of our training stuff in here. All of our paperwork, stuff, anything like that will be in here. But our schedule will be in a PDF. So I have uploaded a schedule. This is not the actual schedule. It's just for, I just used it. Melissa, you are featured very heavily in this thing. Okay, so say I'm a twos teacher, Cosette Snuffleupagus, which is me. So I'm a twos teacher, and I want to know who I'm going to switch with. So there are two options when you're not going to be there. There's a switch, and there's a sub. So our first request is that you find a switch with someone on your own team. So that would be the 2-year-olds, these people that are on rotations. We're not tapping into the subs in this moment. So you go, oh, Melissa, say I'm gone the 11th of September. I'm on September with Miss Karen Orn. Or Katie Orn. So, okay, so I'm like, oh, Melissa is on October. I'm there on October. I'm going to ask Melissa if she will switch with me. So, Melissa is listed under participants. So on the OKids team, under participants, we just came from files, which is right here. We went to participants, which is all of you guys, and you find Melissa McCormick, okay? You click on Melissa McCormick. Aw, she's so cute. And then you text Melissa McCormick because y'all don't respond to email that well. So, for your sake, text the team member yourself. And you should be familiar with this person. They're in your team. So, hey Melissa, would you be able to switch one of your days in October for mine and the 11th? Thanks. So Melissa says yes, because she's wonderful. And so we switch. So even so there's some like caveats to this. One is if you can't make an even switch with your other team member, don't do it. Because that person is then going to have to work double and not get anything covered, if that makes sense. It'll become very clear very quickly. So Melissa says yes. And then I go back to where my schedule was, okay? Under my schedule, not request, this is my schedule, under serve. I know this is really boring, but thank you so much for paying attention, I appreciate it. Then find a replacement, and then there's Melissa. You find Melissa, and you confirm, okay? So you can start with this, but I guarantee you that you're probably not going to hear from that person very quickly. And so if you want to get this off your plate, I really suggest that you text someone on your team and like solidify the switch and then go through the system. Okay? And so then you confirm, it sends Melissa an email, she then like the final stamp of approval, and then it switches in the schedule. So when I go and look at who's going to be on the team that week, it shows Melissa, not Cosette Snuffleupagus. Okay? So that's really important. If they don't confirm, it doesn't show me, it doesn't show that. So, and the system will email you saying like, oh, Melissa McCormick accepted your request. Okay? So, okay, great. All right, so tips for switching, kind of went over that. It's really helpful if when you're switching to know the date or dates that you want to switch. So it's like setting up a meeting with someone. You don't go, hey, you got any time next week? Even though I do that to all of you. You got any time next week? That doesn't work. So say, hey, Melissa, would you maybe do, I'm here October 24th and 25th. Would you switch with me? So that really helps to move things along. Make sure that the person officially accepts. And so Melissa then, because we evenly switched, will need to send you a request. So Cosette Snuffleupagus, who extended the first switch, now has to receive a switch from Melissa, because then it's even. Does that make sense? Russ? Russ will have a private tutorial, don't worry. Okay, so anyone over the age of 60, private tutorials. Okay, so why do we switch before finding a sub? You're like, well, why don't we just use a sub? We have an awesome sub team, which we do. But I would hate for our kids to only see you 3 times out of 12 weeks. So because we're part of this is the relational aspect, I would love for our kids to see you at least 4 times in that 4 weeks. Or in those, 12 weeks. It's consistency for the kids. And we also don't want to burn out our subs. We've got a great sub team, but we don't have an infinite amount of them. So how do you know when to find a sub? First indication, no one on your team can do it. That's a pretty good indicator. Or if no one can do it where you can't do an even switch. So, and this is something, so I'm going to say this, but it's not something that I'm going to monitor. So one of the feedbacks we got last year is burnout, or like I felt like I was always on when I wasn't actually on. And so when you are going to miss I'm going to read it. When you are covering dates and other Sunday commitments, when you're covering dates and other Sunday commitments amounts to you attending the service less than 5 of your 8 Sundays off, use the sub list. I know that was super confusing. So basically you have 8 Sundays off. If you're going to not be able to go to 5 of those Sundays, use a sub. I don't want you to miss, 6 or however many. Because I know, I'm like, oh gosh, right? Sorry, I got like 2 hours of sleep. Okay, all right. So basically, I don't want you to miss a ton of church. I don't want that for you. And our sub team is here, and they're trained, they know what to do. And so that is where you managing your schedule, you looking 2 months after your on date or your on month and say, you know what, I've got a wedding and a graduation and mother-in-law's coming to town and this, and I'm gonna have to cover, well, that means I'm only gonna be at church 3 times. Get a sub, that's fine, I understand that. But I will say, full circle, if your mother-in-law's in town, doesn't mean you have to miss church. Anyways. Yeah, if you have family, bring them to church. It doesn't mean you always have to miss. There are certain things that are like, it'd be easier to miss, but I want you to kind of push against that a little bit. It is a commitment. It is a little bit of a grind. If it doesn't feel like, every once in a while, then it's not sacrifice, and that's what service is. So, yeah, what that is. Are you all quitting now? Shoot, dang it. It's like this fine balance of like, I'm like, yeah. Gone both. Oh, how to find a sub. Deductive reasoning. Okay, so remember this? This is how you know who is on your team. But there are lots of other names here that aren't these people. And so if you decide that you do need a sub, you go, okay, so Emma Pringle, she's not on my team. She must be a sub. I'll ask Emma Pringle or Sienna Goja. Okay, so again, you can look at this list and text ahead of time because they are also on that big OKids team. You can find their info, especially if you're doing it the week before. I will tell you a secret. I actually am not supposed to work on Fridays. I know. What? It's supposed to be my day off. But if I notice on a Friday that this is not taken care of, I'm not going to leave it. I'm obviously going to take care of it because I love what I do and I love our kids and I love you guys and I want to make sure you know what you're doing. So if it's like 5 days before, don't use the email. Use the text. It'll help it go a lot faster. Okay? So then once you connect with Sienna, who's one of our subs, you go, hey, Sienna, will you sub for me in the whatever class? Great, yay, confirm, great, she does it, awesome. Then there's enough people on Sundays and I might get a day off. All right, so, finding your specific team. Okay, so, you guys are doing so awesome, I'm so proud of you. Okay, this is how you know the information of the people on your team or in your curriculum, okay? So this is really brief and also very important. So remember when we went to the OKids team under groups? So you can have a team for each one of your teams. So say you're on the 3-year-old team. You type in 3-year-old and it comes down, click it, excuse me. Oh, also, make sure you're not in people. I've done that a million times. If you're clicking on people, it's not going to find the team. Make sure you're in groups. And also, there is a difference between team and OKids 3-year-olds. These are all the 3-year-olds. You're probably not in that group yet. So you're on the team. You're these people, okay? So just make sure you're there. All right, so there are a few things you will find in your specific team group. You will find a message board. You can send each other messages. Oh, I really liked your dress. And let's maybe try and figure out how to better help this kid during large group time. Great. Okay. Calendar. You can enter birthdays for your team if you want to. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Team events, big days for your team. Like maybe you're going to have a breakfast or something, which I'm going to encourage you to do. Files. Curriculum will be there. Miss Amber uploads our curriculum. You will find it there. Needs. If you are a 3-year-old teacher and the curriculum calls for 4 pillows, Miss Amber's not going to buy 4 pillows because inevitably you all have 4 pillows. So she might put that in there and I'll send you an email. Participants, that's the people in your group. So there's 9 of them. Any questions? Oh, look, I keep going. Okay, so this is curriculum. So you'll see under files. There you go. So great. Awesome. We'll go over that Not here. Okay, so know that I'm very proud of you. And I also do not expect you to fully understand this. That is why I have created a PDF of all of these screenshots for you to mull over on your own, okay? So, and you can take the hard copies if you want, if you're the kind of person that's like, okay, this, take it with you, okay? I'm one of those people. All right, so does yes, Mr. Mike Tognati.
I noticed that there's an app for, is that effective?
Yeah, so if you want to use the app actually, so it's called Group Leader. I actually don't know if you can use it if you're not the leader of the group. I'll have to look into it. I'll send you all an email that you won't read.
CCB, right? So I just downloaded CCB.
Oh, yes, okay, that one. Yeah. Okay, they have a few apps. Okay, so there is an app called CCB. And it's basically all it is, it's like a home screen thing, and it just pulls it up in your browser from what I can tell. But it will allow you to search for people's names. So that's cool. And then it has their phone number, you just like call them. So, all right. Does anybody have, yes, Brian.
Are the subs, like the subgroup, is that 0 through 4th grade, or is there like a 0 to, okay.
No, they are specifically parceled out into their 0 to 5, and they are not, you will not see their names. If they aren't available as a 4th grade person, they won't be on that list. And also subs, so you know, your serving preferences are twice a month, so if you've already served twice in that month, it won't even have your name on there anymore. Granted, you can decline as many as you need to, but it won't ask you any more than that, so.
Being texted to be subbed, or are we going to get an email where we accept?
It depends on that person. It depends on that person. So hopefully if it's in advance, they'll just send you an email and you can just accept it. But if they're doing it that way.
Are we allowed to decline it?
Yes, of course. Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh yeah, subs are allowed to decline. Yeah. Subs manage their own schedule. Yeah, you're like, oh, no declining. Yeah, I know. It's like, I found a sub myself. No. Yeah, subs, you guys manage your guys' own schedule, and so feel freedom to accept or decline based on your schedule and availability and serving preference.
Yeah.
So
ideally, though, you get a text.
Ideally.
Accept or decline, and then
Yeah.
we just go on to somebody else.
Exactly. So you won't get like a bunch of, yeah, exactly. Awesome. Okay, does anybody have, yes, Miss Amy.
Should we check CCB every week, like before we go into teach? Might there be something to bring?
It usually will send you an email if you're gonna need something extra, but you will wanna access the curriculum every week for sure. Or you could download it all at the beginning, that's fine too. But yeah, so I would definitely start getting familiar with this because we're kind of funneling all of our stuff into it.
Will subs have received an email like you were talking about that you sent out to everyone who's in a group?
No. No. Nope. All right, anything else? Any like glaring? Yes, Mr. Jonathan.
We're still going to get the curriculum when we show up on Sunday, or
You'll still get it. I'll print it out for you, but that shouldn't be the first time you're seeing it. Okay. So maybe one day I'll forget it and see who's up. All right. Okie dokie, artichokes.